Thank you, everybody, for coming to the Aaron Torres Podcast YouTube page. If you could do me a quick favor, see that little subscribe button at the bottom of your screen? Go ahead, click that subscribe button. Really does help our channel grow, our audience grow, and I really do appreciate it more than you know. So click that subscribe button. Appreciate your support. Now, here's the video that you came here for. Dan Hurley really quick, and producer Matt put a little cue in here so you know where to clip off the Dan Hurley stuff because we're going in a different direction now. So I would say this. My phone, which is somewhere, I don't even know where it is. It's charging somewhere. My phone, throughout the course of this tournament, this bad boy right here, the number one question that I have gotten time and time and time again, what makes Dan Hurley different? What makes Dan Hurley so special? And why is he able to do this at this moment in time in college basketball? And so I really, being around UConn for a second straight year, I really wanted to hammer home that point. If you're subscribed to the YouTube channel, you know I spoke with the AD Dave Benedict on the floor. We ran that interview, about a 2.5 minute interview earlier. But I asked Dave, I asked Tom Moore, who again was a lead assistant coach for both Jim Calhoun and Dan Hurley. Well, maybe run that Tom Moore interview tomorrow. Tom Moore had so many interesting things to say. And what stands out to me about Dan Hurley, what I believe has made him successful, is three things. First off, I think this is a little bit of an underrated part of it. He got his 10,000 hours in on a low level. And so, first of all, Tom Moore brought it up to me in the locker room, but I think Dave Benedict has mentioned it time and time again. I think Dave Benedict mentioned it when I asked him. I said, what stood out to you about Dan Hurley when you hired him? He goes, Aaron, it's not like rocket science. He won everywhere he went. He won at the high school level at St. Benedict's. He won at the low major level at Wagner. He won at the mid-major level at Rhode Island. He had a proven track record of doing it. And so I'm not here to say I'm smarter than any AD, but I do think there is something to be said about proving that you can do it at lower levels with less resources. Maybe in some cases you're not even able to recruit. Nate Oates at a Final Four. Where did he start as a high school coach? Multiple state championships, Chris Beard, I know he's easy to criticize right now, but this was a guy that started at the JUCO level. He was a head coach at JUCO. He was a head coach in D2. He was a head coach at Little Rock. Everywhere this guy goes, this guy wins. He has the blueprint. And so with Dan Hurley, he proved it. You know, to quote LeBron, not once, not twice, this is time number 5. So I think that's what makes it easy, is like, what Dan Hurley's doing right now is what he has done at every level, but he's evolved. Tom Moore, I thought it was interesting, said, like, he's a different dude. This year, he came back with the confidence of being a national champion, that his way works, and I think it only motivated him more. I think the second thing, and this is so important, and if your school is looking for a coach or has a coach or whatever, I want you to ask yourself one simple question. Is your coach fully dedicated to the program? Because the one thing about Dan Hurley, listen, I'm not going to compare myself to the best in the business right now. I'm not going to compare myself and Sam, but the thing about Dan Hurley is he is singular. He has talked about it in multiple interviews. He said, what makes this program special? Why can I coach these players hard? It's because they know I have their backs. Nobody can see in May and June when they're in here working out and I'm in here helping them out. I'm in the office. He's like, I don't take vacations. I don't fish. I don't golf. This is all I care about. The comparison with me, by the way, is I don't really have any hobbies either. Love my wife, love my dog, love my sports. And it's what I do every single day. And so with Dan Hurley, that is what I believe has made him successful. His guys are willing to run through a wall for him. Tom Moore said it's same with Jim Calhoun, because they knew that he always had their back, that this wasn't a guy that was, whatever, on the beach for 2 weeks during the summer and letting his assistant coaches run stuff. That's not who he is. That's not what he's about. I think 3, and this is important as well, holds himself to the highest standard. I thought this was interesting. Like, I think we talk about the fact that UConn as a program went back-to-back, that there was no fall off, that if anything, the argument was that they were certain. I don't even think it's an argument. It's just a fact. They're better this year. But I think he holds himself to the same standard. I don't think he got high and mighty. Sure, and he talked about it. Yeah, I rang the stock bell, the New York Stock Exchange. I threw out a first pitch here or there. But I wanted to make sure that I was as focused, if not more focused, coming into this year than I was a year ago. And so when I look at Dan Hurley, listen, I think the debate's over. He's the best coach in college basketball right now. That's not even a hot take. That's not even a take. It's just kind of a fact. I mean, Bill Self is regarded as the godfather. Bill Self has been in this thing. He's been in the game 30 plus years, whatever. 2 national championships. And that is great. That is incredible. It doesn't change the fact that Dan Hurley has 2 national championships at 51, 52 years old. And so listen, I'm not going to go crazy, overselling this right now. But when I look at Dan Hurley, what I see is a guy that's the total package. He's got his hours in. He's genuine. He holds himself to the highest standards. And I've said this time and time again. He is a complete basketball coach, okay? I say it all the time. Let's see if I can find the tweet. You look at the players that he has brought in. They haven't always been the highest rated players, but you look at them, and Dan Hurley's, maybe his greatest gift is evaluation and development. I've said this a million times. James Bouknight, who was a lottery pick, his NBA career hasn't gone well, but he was the 66th ranked player in his high school class, ended up as a lottery pick. Tyrese Martin, who came with Dan Hurley from Rhode Island, 226th in his class, drafted. Jordan Hawkins, lottery pick last year, 51st in his class. Donovan Clingan, top 5 pick this year, 56th in his class. Alex Caravan, future NBA player, 100-something in his class. Steph Castle, I've said it before, was a McDonald's All-American, but when he committed, he was a fringe top 30 player. And so what makes Dan Hurley special? He's the total package. Players believe in him, but he's clearly a great evaluator. He said it last summer. We don't just bring in 10 McDonald's All-Americans every single offseason. Now, it's a little bit hyperbole, but you kind of get the point. But he's like, that's not what we do. What we do is we evaluate. And then when guys get there, they get better. Tristan Newton is better than he was a year ago. Donovan Clingan is certainly better. My guy Hassan Diarra, it's night and day how much better he is than he was a year ago. Samson Johnson, night and day how much better he was than a year ago. Jalen Stewart, the freshman, night and day how much better he is than from earlier in the season. And so if you're looking for a coach, if you have a coach, we're going to talk the Kentucky coach in a minute, but it brings me to this bottom line. The bottom line is, like, Dan Hurley's just special, man. And what makes him unique, listen, I think what it really is, doesn't skip steps. As I said a few weeks ago, Chris Beard, when he was at Texas Tech, he had an old saying. It was called the secrets in the dirt. And the secrets in the dirt basically meant that there is no secret. If you're not willing to put in the work, then guess what? You're not going to have the results. And I think that's Dan Hurley. I think that's this program's mantra, and it's absolutely unbelievable.